So if I did have COVID, yeah? I'm just going to say if. Then I caught it from the little boy, the taxi driver's perhaps son, or whoever it was within the taxi firms. Yeah.
Whatever was left in the taxi.
Yeah. And that's if. Which I think I wouldn't have got it as bad if there wasn't the mold exposure.
Yeah.
So I think the mold exposure depletes the immunity. Then I stopped taking my immunosuppressant.
Yes, it is.
This then I started to climb upwards. Because to suppress an immune system is to turn it off, isn't it? To make it not act at all.
Yeah. Oh, really low.
Or to at least reduce it, right? And therefore a reduction in immunity wouldn't be a good thing during it when you need your immune system. Very interesting. Now I don't know for sure, I'm just speculating that the little boy had it, but I don't know 100%. Now that is interesting, and it always goes for my teeth. So does mold exposure though. So mold exposure was like back at the last property, and every time I kept getting ill, every time I kept getting infections, every time I kept getting this, I kept getting that. And the colds and flu were getting more and more stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Well, this came from the mold back at the last property.
Yeah.
Not the last one, but the last property. There was mold there. However, I didn't really shout at the rooftops about it. And then there was this patterning. Then there was a bit of respite from it, but it had a few seasons where it got really hot. You see, I think that by doing nothing about mold and not taking it as serious as what individuals should be taking it, I think this is making us all at risk. Everyone, even healthy people. And COVID, I think, is just one of many that will just surface from this. I think that when the immune system is tired, that's when it allows other bacteria or other viruses to take hold. I think that this constant bombardment of immunity, where it is constantly being bombarded repeatedly, I think that is very dangerous.
Relief from it.
Yeah. I don't think it was with people with immune systems. My immune system, usually, I think, I'm not 100% sure, is overreactive, and it will start attacking healthy tissue. Then I need the suppressant just to stop it from doing that. That's what I think urticaria is, or the different stuff with that. It almost like it got turned on a number of years ago and it never switched off. Whatever I ingested turned it on, and it has never stopped. It seems to be continuously...
It's protecting and protecting
Yeah.
against something.
So whatever that was, and the suppression sort of gives it a sort of respite, I suppose, makes it not as... It gives it something else to do, I think. But I think that what's even more is when you've got mold degrading the immunity continuously in lots of people in society, and then to even be able to keep making vaccines, you've got to know which ones are going to erupt next. And I think that whether you're healthy or not, you're not safe from it. Then the bacteria is activating in the body like a back door. It's finding a back door. So that's very bizarre. Now I don't know any of this for sure, with the where I may or may not have got this, but I have had this a number of times. This one being the worst one, and therefore that is mold. The only thing I can think of is there's more than mold in this house. if people begin to take it seriously, those floorboards need lifting, and underneath it needs to be looked at before, oh, it's bone dry. There's a smell there. And the more and more this is leaching in everywhere else. It's incredible, to be honest. So, yeah, so poor toilet systems, absolutely. Poor water, and then probably by locking people down in their house, probably is causing a more of a runaway effect with this mold. So yeah, no, I think that when individuals start taking this more seriously, because at the moment it's like the silent killer. Although indirect, it's creeping, and no one has got any checks on it. No one is observing it. Only now do we start to see that, but I don't think it's enough. I think that more needs to be done, because this gets into the wider area. But again, I'm unsure, but it goes for my teeth. If it went for my teeth, like it has done on most other occasions as well. It goes for my teeth, I deplete, and then very weird, and every time it does that. And then, since Banham all the way till now, the rest of the symptoms seem to be the same. But this time, it was worse. So, what was the difference? Well, in Griffin, it peaked a bit. And I think I know that perhaps downstairs were tipped off to it, because after I experienced these symptoms, they closed up the shop for a while. So individuals that were looking in, because I never told anyone about that, but it's amazing the way behaviour operates though. That's behaviour. So, very interesting. That went for my teeth. And the one in Banham, that went for my teeth. So, again, degrading immunity. And it doesn't matter how tough you think your immune system is, mold is depleting you. So, in essence, it is trying to kill you. It is trying to bring you down. Everyone. And, you know, even when people say, oh, it's just a neighbouring house, do you know how mold spores work? And you only need at least 10 of them. You need to breathe in at least 10 spores, and that is enough to already start doing damage. I reckon about 10 spores is enough to trigger that. And then when windows are open and different stuff like that, or you go out and shake something or hang some washing out, it works like when you blow bubbles, but bubbles are much bigger. These things get everywhere. And where you'll think, oh, it's only 10. Yeah, per day, per week, per month, day in and day out. Even with this problem going inside this building, it puts everybody in this area at risk. It is degrading your immune system, whether you want to face that or not. And then it depends on how sensitive the tools are. How do you test someone's immune system? If I went to a doctor and said, can you test my immune system? Well, they could perhaps look at things in the body, but how would they get an answer back from that? Well, this seems a bit low, perhaps it's that. And then whatever I ingested turned on my immune system. Now, whether it was that, or the connection that I had, wow, I leave that for you to ponder about, but yeah. interesting. It's really mind-boggling, to be honest. But I do like it. You get to learn an awful lot of stuff. So, to say whether this is karma or anything else, nah, it's calculated. Then you could say that the whole world has then been subject to karma. But again, would paramedics not respond to you, though, under those circumstances? Not take you to hospital? But yet one time they would take you to hospital, but what is it now? You're not allowed a hospital? So you could only go to hospital at a certain time, when they said so? When the fear was in everybody? I don't fear it. If it ever be my time, then it's my time. But I don't fear it. So I'm not really scared of it, to be honest. So, and nor am I of mold, neither. But the difference is, I'm prepared. I want to be more prepared, and I want to help other people get prepared to be able to do something about this, because that's where it states we're all in this together. We all share the planet, and considering some of these spores reach the International Space Station, that's got to tell you something. And the more and more areas that they're growing, they're releasing into the environment, you never know. A lot of extinctions could be done from this. And then the more and more that are building up in the planet, and no one wants to do anything about it, now that is foolish. And then I believe that will be your karma. And I don't think finding the leak or whatever is leaking, I think it's the toilet, to be honest. The more I look underneath the bath panel, it is completely dry. But around the toilet, it is not. And it seems to be coursing through and under the house and under the bedroom, and making its way to the front and parts of the front room. But it's leaking from the bedroom and seeping, I think, and that's what explains the maggots. That's very interesting. That is not really, it's disgusting. But at the same time, just fixing that is not the answer. All of that needs removing. If not, every time it rains, it will take hold, it will breed, it will grow, and it will begin again doing everything else like that. And then you don't have to think of people transmission of this stuff. Somebody else might be breathing it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Somebody else. And then they talk to someone else, who then gets this contamination. And then it clings and finds a place inside the home. And if for this long, the toilet systems, I mean, there is black mold through there anyway. No matter how many times you clear it up, it reappears. But I've never seen that toilet sweat. Never seen it sweat. So I'm not sure about that, whether there's something going on behind there. I'm not sure, but I know it's the toilet waste pipe. And I think that the more you leave it, it's going to be damp days that feed it. It's going to respond. It's going to grow. It is then going to release spores really quickly, and a lot of them, because its window of life is shorter. I think mold and spores are the very best life forms at suspended animation. So
Spores last for years.
yeah, so they are well aware then, and they must have travelled. And cryogenic suspended animation. So I believe they're very good at that. And they have to be. And to adapt like that means they know more. And information is very weird the way it's shared, but doing nothing about it, and I think that might be the entirety. Shake a hand, touch someone, walk by someone, one becomes dislodged and lands on you. You go home, throw your jacket down, you blow a load out into the air. It will make its way towards the damp. And then again, you've got to ask the question, does it have a mind of its own? How does it get to a toilet system? How does it know to get there? What, you mean to tell me that it's already there? Is it inside the water that we're drinking? How does a spore, once cleaned away, reinfect again? And then if you have got a house that's mold-free, how does it get to the pipes? Under a sink, in a cupboard that are closed, shut off. How does it get there? See, these are the questions that I think need to be asked. And they're not being answered, but they need asking. And they need to... How is that little spore making its way into a cupboard? And therefore, does it only take one spore?
Isn't already in the material from which it's built?
Could it be in the material which it's built? That's a good question. Again, that is another question. But there again, why is it from plastic to metal? So pipework. Why is it on plastic toilet system? Why is it inside the bin? Have you seen how much black mold is inside that wheelie bin?
I didn't look deep in there, but
Up one side.
there's something there.
So it's definitely inside rubbish. And no matter what you throw at it, it doesn't come off. It's so stubborn. And even if you do clean it off, it grows back again. Then that's in the ground, that's on the floor, that's in the soil. You walk on it, you walk it in your house, it just takes then one spore to infect your whole house. And then you got to ask yourself the question, how intelligent is this stuff that it makes its way under floorboards, that it makes its way behind cupboards? It must have some sort of purpose movement in order to reach these places. It's much like an elephant seeking out a drink of water somewhere. And the best environment, we all have this ability to seek out our best environment. All animal kingdom and humans, no separate from the bunch, have a really weird way of seeking out the environment that works well. And then you could say colds, and you could say flu, also seeks out that area. So one thing that has happened with humans is common colds and flu have increased. These probably did not affect our hunter-gatherers. We did something. Or we're not doing something. And that's with bleaches, disinfectants, and it still is not enough to even curb it. Do you see what I mean by that? It's like there's almost... And with all of these products, our hunter-gatherers never had that.
They never stayed in one build for a very long time.
See, it could be because you travel and do different things like that, but again, it won't stop the mold. It doesn't work like that. No. I think it's from humans turning a blind eye to this very small thing is probably the answer of what is growing flu season each year. And if it is that sticky, and depending on, like, it's in a bin, if it's in a bin, what do you think that bacteria is in there? And you don't think the bacteria, if this stuff is so sticky, does not sit on it? Does not... It's mixing in that. You mix in that environment. And therefore, when you can smell a bin, you are breathing in everything that's inside it. Window cracks, there's nothing you can do to stop it. Foolish, really. And then this begins to degrade your immune system, and you don't know it yet, but when winter comes, that's when you know it. And it doesn't even mean winter as well, because even if you were to go in a hot climate, it's still there. Then you have to remove all of that contamination from your body. That's not an easy feat. And black mold must be relatively new, because the body doesn't seem to know what to do about it. Constantly fight it, and then it degrades your immune system, which makes... So it is really taking a response to this stuff. So much so that common colds, it seems to be too tired. Then someone that's had a degraded immune system gets ill, and the immune system doesn't put up much of a fight to it because it's tired. It then allows that bacteria to run and go threefold, advance even more, before then it's passed on to someone else, and now it's at an even credible strength. And then it finds somebody else with the right environment to breed in. Then it expands in them, and then it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Well, let's hope people wake up to it before severe damage gets done. So, not sure where I am on this one, but again, irresponsible. Because it's so small, it's laughable. But you can't even see COVID, but it brought down nearly how many people? The common cold brings down how many people? But you can't see it. The more smaller, the more powerful. So, in me, I believe this is what brought the dinosaurs down. And perhaps there was a meteorite impact as well. Perhaps there was multiple events that hit the Earth at once, and therefore it muddied the water into which one. Perhaps the meteorite hit, this caused volcanoes to explode, so there were volcanoes as well. Or perhaps there was lots of spores. But black mold is relatively new, and therefore it must be new, and it's evolving into what it is now. And therefore it is trying to get into humans and make them a very nice habitat, and they do it with ants. So, I don't know, very eye-opening. I'm going to leave this one here. 22 minutes is good enough.